So boys, Baki Rahen chapter 50 is here, and it seems like the fight between Jack and Hanayama is officially over. There are some unfortunate and badass aspects to consider, and maybe even some cope from me and likely many of you guys, but let's break down the entire chapter. So with all of this said, it's now been over a month since the previous Baki Rahen chapter, so here is a little recap. So far in the Hanayama and Jack fight, it's gone pretty much both ways. We have chapters where the Yakuza dominates, landing direct blows, then chapters where Jack dominates. Most recently, Hanayama was able to counter Jack's kick, but was unsuccessful in dealing with the cyborg's follow-up, at least at first. Jack was able to get him into a hold once again and land a bite on the back of his neck, potentially the most lethal attack in the entire fight so far. However, as a response, Hanayama used his iconic vice grip to explode Jack's arm, forcing him to release the hold and bite, with both of them bleeding out as we see on screen now, bringing us to the current Baki Rahen chapter 50, where you do not want to miss this breakdown, but of course subscribe here on Mysterious Weeb for even more Baki content. So right off the bat, we've got a new volume cover for Baki Rahen, this being the 5th one and features the legend Hanayama. These are all of them so far for Baki Rahen, all of them absolute bangers, and I'm glad they're taking this approach for current Baki, unlike in the previous manga series, where every volume cover pretty much features Baki on the front. There has been some adjustments in re-releases, but I think this is great to see. But when it comes to the chapter itself, we begin with, of course, the iconic Baki explanations of Hanayama's vice grip or twisting technique he just used on Jack, highlighting that both Hanayama and the cyborg are indeed bleeding out to an insane degree, also getting a reminder that Hanayama, with this grip strength, has the ability to tear apart tires with no problem at all, highlighting the immense danger he wields when facing him. But it's also important to note that you could say Hanayama is limited in time considering where he's actually bleeding out from, the side of his neck, something much more severe compared to Jack's arm here and the other instances where he's had skin ripped off of him. And you could even say the effects Hanayama is facing here is highlighted in this chapter based on what he does next, something that is absolutely insane and is probably going to enrage many people across the fandom. He charges in and lands a direct kick on Jack. Yes, this is Hanayama landing a kick, something that pretty much shocks everyone watching in the crowd. We see Jack's head go flying back, and the Yakuza is not stopping by any means. He follows up with another kick, one potentially even more deadly, and does highlight pretty impressive skill pointed out by the police officers. Something that isn't a kick from a martial artist, but one that is very powerful and quite clean, resulting in Jack to actually start vomiting, highlighting the power and skill behind it. And now Hanayama does not stop, he is insanely locked in and lands once again another strike on Jack. It is important to note, every time we see Hanayama going for these strikes in this chapter, blood is still coming out of his neck at every moment, highlighting the severe situation he's currently in and why he's pretty much gone with this rapid approach, taking the fight 100% serious now. And this follow-up punch after the two kicks is absolutely insane. The art is peak. And if you think about it, the last time we saw Jack kinda vomit like this was, from my knowledge, during the Maximum tournament, a moment that did later result in Jack entering that maxing out state. However, the situations are very different. This one doesn't really highlight Jack vomiting out any of the steroids, just the impact from Hanayama's kick, so I doubt we're going to have him entering that state, particularly with what the Yakuza does next. He continues the domination and seemingly slams Jack Hanma to the ground head first, with once again the art looking absolutely insane. So I guess the 1 month break Itagaki took recently has resulted in him being able to lock in. But this brings us to the super controversial moment of the entire fight and chapter. After Jack is slammed on the ground here, we have the random police goons actually stop the fight. There was meant to be like a 5-minute time limit, but based on their interactions prior, it didn't really seem like they were going to barge in. But after this, the police seemingly stop the fight. We have Jack maybe unconscious on the ground, but bro is on his back still. Hanayama standing above him, still bleeding out in every panel. The other Yakuza goon stepping forward as well. The police saying stop right here, meaning the fight could actually be over, meaning Jack has technically lost. But when it comes to some cope of mine, the detective dude from the Death Row Inmates arc is seemingly shocked by the police stepping in here, highlighting that he may believe the fight was still going to continue, Jack was going to get up. And I do think it's possible, once again, max level cope from a hardcore Jack fan here, that maybe in the very next chapter, Hanayama does fall unconscious from the blood loss, considering the continued highlighting of the blood splattering everywhere in every single panel of the Yakuza in this chapter. But if I had to place my absolute bets, I think the fight is over and Hanayama is going to be declared as the winner. But does this mean he's actually stronger than Jack in an all-out fight to a proper conclusion? That is the question everyone in the fandom is going to be fighting about. Now, with all this said, welcome to a new segment on the channel. This is my current Baki power ranking tier list. Let's see if any new reveals in this chapter require adjustments, something I'll continue to do from each chapter that's released. But if you haven't already, check out Gamer Subs at the top of the description. Using code MWEEB gives you a 10% discount and allows you mad lads to support the channel directly while also getting some goods for yourself, so check it out, link in the description. So I'll say this about Hanayama and Jack's fight. If this is actually considered the end, Hanayama's updated placement, something that many people would seem as controversial prior to this, is more so solidified. I won't be ranking him above Jack at the current minute, as I'll need to wait to see what really happens in the next chapter. As for all we know, it could actually continue. Jack could get up, rage out, or maybe for all we know, it could occur again in the underground arena. Anything is really possible, but Hanayama solidifying himself as above the likes of Pickle, I think is going to be very agreeable by many people in the fandom. Naturally, there's going to be Jack fans raging out. Even me personally, I'm one of the biggest Jack fans and didn't want this outcome, but if it is the case, unfortunate, it's important to remember that this is technically the Cyborg's training arc, and when he gets to his other fights, bro is going to continue improving, meaning I do not believe this is the end of the Jack arc. And us Jack fans are known to be strong. We've seen our GOAT lose many times throughout the series, and none of us have lost faith. And to be fair, Hanayama is my second favorite character, so I'm winning in other senses. I'm going to be glazing the Yakuza for quite some time after this. But in regards to some other unfortunate news, Baki Rahen is once again on break. The next chapter, chapter 51, is meant to release on the 11th of September, so hopefully that's the case. But if you need chapter links or need to get notified the second a new one comes out, make sure to join the Discord, links in the description.